Okay, thanks.
This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for another amazing podcast with a musical group. As you know, I've been doing these now for, about 7 years, and it started with my relationship with Cafe Lena up in upstate New York, and I just love music. So today I get to introduce you to Blue Largo. Now, what is Blue Largo? Explain that to me, Eric.
Well, Blue Largo, first of all, a lot of people, Alicia and I have always had a great love for the tropics. I started going to Miami Beach with my family in 1959. So I just revealed how old I am. And I went there pretty much every year for the first 10 years of my life. So it's, and Alicia and I try to go down there not every year. We have some friends who live in Florida, and we also love the Caribbean. So a lot of people have assumed that Blue Largo has something to do with that. And it does not. I am, and for the past 40 years, have been obsessed with Black American blues and jazz, primarily between the period of probably 1940 and 1965. And one of the more well-known artists in that genre was Bill Doggett. And he had a pretty famous song that was pretty high on what back then in the 50s they called the race charts, because there was a lot of segregation between radio stations that played for a Caucasian audience, right, and that played for an African American audience. We actually it was Bill Doggett's band was strictly an instrumental band. They didn't do any vocals. They had one of my favorite guitar players, a guy named Billy Butler, and the song Honky Tonk that Alicia and I recorded on our first Blue Largo album in 2000 called What a Day. It has one of the most classic guitar solos on it by Billy Butler. Jimmy Vaughn of Texas blues fame is once said when he was a kid growing up in Dallas, if you couldn't play Honky Tonk or Hideaway by Freddie King, nobody wanted to be your friend. I think he meant you could get a gig in any band, but he said nobody wanted. In his world, that problem. So anyway, around the time that Alicia and I were starting Blue Largo in 1999, 2000, this is before eBay. Alicia keeps putting
putting it down like
my phone. Can you see us okay? We don't want to interrupt the interview with this. So Alicia, please. So in any event, this is, before eBay, when you can get any music anytime, or Amazon, or certainly no streaming. A friend of mine, a drummer who I was playing with, we were both sidemen, playing up in Long Beach, California at the time. He had this obscure Bill Doggett record called Hot Doggett, which I could not find any place. And he made me a cassette tape of it. And right around the time Alicia and I were starting our band, I was driving in my car, listening to this cassette tape, and he had listed all the songs. And your radio didn't tell you what track it was and the name of it. But I go, this is a kind of cool song, man, one that I didn't know. And I trying to figure out the title, and it was called Blue Largo. And I said to Alicia, what about the name Blue Largo for our band? And that is how it came about.
Interesting. So let's take it a couple steps before Blue Largo. You mentioned that as a young kid, you grew up in New Jersey. You went to Miami for the summer or holidays. When did you realize music was your passion?
When I was about 10 years old.
And What
After I
music?
saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1964, wanted to take guitar lessons. My parents, they didn't have very much money when I was young, and they didn't even want to buy me a guitar. They just wanted to rent me a guitar because my father said, like with everything else, you'll be interested in it for a month and then it'll be something else. But here it is, 50 years later, and I am as passionate and as obsessed as I ever was, maybe more so.
Well, I mean, I do agree that music in the late 50s and 60s was a great influence for many of us, whether we became performers or not, but it influenced our life. And we still go back to that music constantly. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
forever.
so what do you think is so special about that music that we're drawn back into it, and performers like yourself re-perform it for us here in 2022?
Well, I think it was the big band leader Artie Shaw, who was really probably more from the 1930s and 40s, in the Benny Goodman era. I think it was in a documentary about music where I think he said that each generation seems to revert back to the music that they grew up with, that's always going to be the music that's the closest to them. Stephen Van Sant, Little Steven, is who I know is involved with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to some degree. He's been a lifelong inspiration in my life since I was about 14 years old, since I grew up here in Asbury Park. It's the first time I saw him. And as a matter of fact, there's a new song on a new record called "Disciple of Soul," which was written for and about Stephen. And but he I've heard him interviewed about this, and he thinks the music of the late 50s through the 60s is he calls it the great Renaissance period for music in American life and culture. He thinks it was the only time when the greatest music being made was also the most popular music, where you had that coinciding of what was popular and marketable, which was with what was also the greatest quality. And I have to say that even though for the past 40 years I have primarily consider myself just a blues guitar player and a blues musician, and Alicia and we started off, our first two records were came out in 2000 and 2003, were all vintage blues and swing. T-Bone Walker, Dinah Washington. We did some Billie Holiday covers, Louis Jordan, Julia Lee. We always went for the obscure, and we tried to dig deep. Nat King Cole Trio, we did a couple of
Dinah Washington.
yes, Donna Helen Humes. But in any event, I developed a neurological condition called focal dystonia in 2006, which affected the coordination in my right hand and my ability to play guitar. And I probably should have stopped, but it was like a junkie man who knows he should not keep putting the needle in his arm, but he can. I was addicted. And it's been about 16 years, but I'd say I'm about 90 to 95% better. I often play with a thumb pick, which helps me tremendously. I can using a thumb pick as opposed to a flat pick, which is the way I've always played, is somewhat of a crutch. It allows me to play pretty close to the way I've always played. But in any event, we didn't record between 2003 and 2015 because of my condition. And around 2014, 15, at that point, I figured, okay, I'm willing to give it another try. And we thought that we would just try to find, 10 or 12 of the hippest, most obscure traditional blues or rhythm and blues songs we could find. Sorry, I'm doing all the talking. But Alicia's she's great, man. But I'm a little more obsessed with all of these details. I
love it.
But in any event, we saw Bonnie Raitt for the first and only time. I've never seen Bonnie Raitt. I've always loved her when I saw her on TV. Never even owned a Bonnie Raitt album, I'm embarrassed to say. But Alicia always said she wanted to see Bonnie Raitt when she came to San Diego. We went to see Jackson Browne one night at the Fox Theater there, who I grew up with, not personally, but whose music, and I've always been a big fan of. And they were giving out flyers that said Bonnie Raitt was coming the next month. So we went to see Bonnie Raitt. And we had like these amazing seats, like, maybe 10th row in this beautiful theater. And it really hit me that I know that Bonnie Raitt is an incredible student and proponent of traditional blues. Furry Lewis, Mississippi Fred McDowell. She's done a lot to help out Charles Brown, the piano player, John Lee Hooker. She's even done a lot to try to help BB, who probably needed it the least out of all those other. But yet, it hit me that when Bonnie Raitt, when we saw her, she's not trying to sing like Sister Rosetta Tharpe or Big Mama Thorpe. It's just she just comes out like her. And I came home that night, and I never thought of myself as a songwriter since I was in high school, and people used to make fun of my songs. But when I discovered T-Bone Walker, it was so great when I was about 27, because I thought I could dedicate my life trying to pay tribute to this amazing blues guitar player, and I don't have to worry about writing songs that people are going to make fun of. But I jotted down these lyrics after coming home from the Bonnie Raitt show, which I called Sing Your Own Song. Basically, if you're just, no matter how well you do it, if you're just reproducing what someone else has already done, no one's going to care that much. I mean, the people that really affect, artists that really affect other people, it's usually because they have something all of their own to say. Anyway, about a year went by, and we're getting ready to record our album. And I thought I'll go back and check out those lyrics that I jotted down. I mean, I didn't know that I had any melody or chord progression or anything. And I said, maybe we can have an original song on this new album. And lo and behold, these songs just started pouring out of me. And we had, I think, 7 or 8 original songs on that album called Sing Your Own Song, released in 2015. In 2018, we made another album called Before the Devil Steals Your Soul, which had 11 original songs on it. And we just, over the past 6 months, recorded this album, which is called Got to Believe. And it's 10 original songs in one cover, the song that Nina Simone did called Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood, which Alicia brought to the band. And it's crazy because I'm not a natural guitar player, and I'm not being humble or anything like that. I promise you, anybody that has known me would say that I work harder at it just to kind of be okay than a lot of people. I've played with a lot of people throughout the years that they can just hear something one time and play it like they played it 100 times.
Sure.
He's being pretty humble.
No,
I have a feeling he is. Yes.
Let me tell you the proof. I can't tell you how many rewind buttons I've broken on cassette decks back in the day trying to figure stuff out. But the songs, I don't think I've ever spent more than an hour writing a song. A lot of them have come to me when I ride I do these bike rides in my neighborhood, and I come home and I go, Alicia, I got this song. And she would say, stop riding your bike, because she didn't want to keep learning all the lyrics.
I love it.
But and I'm really excited about this record, Got to Believe. I don't know why But I am definitely the most confident and excited about this of anything we've done. It's not my nature to be blowing my horn about anything that I've done or that we've done. And it feels actually a little uncomfortable because it's hard for me to contain my excitement about this album. Let me have that CD again, Alicia. And here's the back of it with a picture of our band. I don't know if you can see that. And
yeah, we can see that. Absolutely.
There's a vintage Buick Riviera on that, which is actually our car that we have had since 1988. It's actually my daily driver. It's my only car. I don't have a real car. Alicia does for emergency situations. But
well, in California, you need a car.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, and a friend of ours painted the front cover, and Got to Believe is the second track on there, and it's basically about believing in your goals and never giving up in spite of the obstacles. And I think a lot of that message, I mean, it is, of course, it can and should be a universal message, but for me personally, I believe that after 16 years, somehow I'm going to eventually completely overcome this focal dystonia condition I have. And also that as unlikely as it seems at times, especially since we're older and the era we're living in where, music isn't quite as much of a big thing in people's lives as it once was, that, we're going to still somehow always find a receptive and enthusiastic audience for our music.
Now, don't you believe that, and maybe I'm wrong, but since the pandemic, I think people have gotten more in tune with music, and they're hearing a lot of local music and creators like yourself who maybe they wouldn't have heard of before, okay, because they weren't in the part of the country where you were performing or writing. And now it's like, there is so much music out there. I need to start listening. I need to start taking it in.
Mhm.
Well, what I noticed is when the music venues first started opening it up, probably last summer after the vaccines became available, excuse me, I noticed a surge in people coming out to the clubs. Put on the air conditioner here. Hold on a second.
Sure.
This is what happens when we're being interviewed in a hotel room. And she doesn't like the humidity.
It's killing me. My hair has never been so frizzy.
But I'll tell you though, Karen. Sadly, I find that at least in San Diego, that initial excitement that people had to get out again and hear live music after being cooped up for a year and a half, I think that it's starting to wane a little bit. But in terms of a national scale, you very well may be right. And one of the reasons why we hired Anne as our publicist, and we also hired Powderfinger Promotions with David Avery for radio promotion, is to help get our music out there. And, I want to do everything from our end to try to get people to hear it. And whether it works out, as long as we were able to afford to do that financially, I would rather do it regardless of whether it does anything for us or not, than not do it and say, I wonder what if.
Well,
it's very satisfying though.
I do another show called Avoid the Maze, and the two of you fit into that program because Avoid the Maze is about us waking up when we're children. We think we know exactly what we want to do for the rest of our life. And the reality of it is, as we walk down that path, our life just keeps changing. Mm-hmm. And Eric, when you talk about the dystonia, it's like a lot of people would just stop in their tracks and would say, okay, there's nothing I can do. But you found that there was a way to get over the obstacles. And I'm sure it hasn't been easy, but you are living proof that we can do what we desire to do. And
well, I appreciate you saying that, Karen. And a lot of people like kind of give me kudos for that. And oh, Eric, that's so admirable that you had that kind of discipline and drive. But the reality of it is, I go back to, I was more like the junkie that couldn't stop. It was actually way easier for me to keep working at it in the ways I did. I took formal piano lessons. I learned how to read Braille, read a few books in Braille, because the idea is to open new neurotransmitters,
right.
replace the damaged ones. Even though it's the coordination in my right hand, the problem is in the brain. And I also just tried to reteach myself to play without the spasmodic motions. Probably I'm fortunate that I've had the time, but I put in 5 or 6 hours a day at it, and I still do. But it's because I love it. So I don't really like to take so much credit for that, because it's what I love doing, and it's a great to me, it gives me something like to wake up for every day, like a goal that I have, to whether I ever accomplish it or not. So yeah, and I just love music. I'm a huge fan of music. I love to go see live music and to listen to all, the music that I love. It's again, since I was 10 years old. So in a way, I've been pretty on the straight and narrow with music since I was a kid.
Well, and this CD is.
Say a little something.
Hello.
Hello, Alicia.
This CD is really close to our hearts because it's a story of many things, of our lives, what's out in the world, what's happening a little bit politically. And so it's very dear to us, so we're hoping that we keep on pushing, because, and it's been really wonderful working with the people that we are working. Anne has been so wonderful and supportive. I really love her enthusiasm. And
Who, Ed?
Anne, yeah. And
so how did the two of you meet?
Me and Alicia?
Yeah, you and Alicia. You're a team.
We've been together for 40 years. We met in 1982. We've been married for 22 years. We got married in 2000. So we've been together for about 18 years on and off, but mostly on before we got married. And from 1981 to 1986, so for about 5 years, I was playing in a band in San Diego called the King Biscuit Blues Band. It's like the first professional blues band I played in. And we had a gig 3 nights a week, Thursday through Saturday, 50 weeks of the year. We took off 2 weekends before New Year's Eve and then did it all over again.
Wow.
That was an easy gig, huh? Just left for. So anyway, it's unheard of today. But anyway, Alicia started working there as a waitress. And I had a policy, self-imposed, of not dating waitresses because I was 27 years old. And part of the reason I was in a band, regardless of my love for the music, was to meet chicks. So I'm thinking, if I date a waitress that works here and I got to keep seeing her 3 nights a week, it's not what I'm trying to do. Girls who were coming in to see the band, this could be problematic. But Alicia started working there as a waitress about a year after I was playing there, and I asked this other waitress named Annie, I go, "Hey Annie, what's the deal with that new waitress?" And I remember her saying to me like it was yesterday, "Well, one thing, Eric, she's way too mature for you." And one night, about a month after Alicia started working there, I asked her if she wanted to hang out. So, of course, this is like, the gig was over at 1:30 in the morning. So now it's 1:30 in the morning. And she was living with her brother at the time. And I went against my own self-imposed policy and followed her out to her house. And, the rest is history. And the cool thing about Alicia is, even though she never sang professionally until around 2000, when she started singing with me, she has always had, Alicia, can I say it? She's a couple of years older than me. And because I know nobody believes that. We went into like some bathing suit shop the other day, the sales girl was complimenting her on me on how great she looks. And when I told her this, she goes, "No way, there's no way she's older than you." I go, "That's not the right thing to be saying to me, you know." But anyway,
That's the right thing to be telling the world.
Nobody cares. But Alicia, just by that narrow thing of a couple of years, she really grew up. Whereas I grew up more with the like rock bands, you know, Cream and Led Zeppelin, the rock bands of the late. She really grew up in the Motown and the soul era. And
love that.
And Alicia always specifically would only look for jobs at venues, waitressing jobs, where they had live blues or live jazz. So she was, and I knew she always sang great, and she would learn these like really complicated Billie Holiday or Sarah Vaughan standards just for the love of singing the song. And she would go, she'd say to me, like, I remember one day in particularly, we were on the beach in San Felipe where her brother had a house. And she go, and you know, this is before she was singing with me. And she said, you know, I want to sing you this Sarah Vaughan song that I learned. And I said, okay. And it was like so emotional, man. And she also has incredible pitch, you know, whenever I needed a singer, which I don't sing really, but a little bit of background, you know, if you're a band leader and you don't sing, that's always a difficult spot to be in. So every 5, 6, 7 years, whenever I seem to like lose a singer in the bands I had needed a singer, I tried to, I go, Alicia, you should sing with us. Nah, I don't need all that, man. I'm happy just living that through you. But for whatever reason, and I still don't know.
Well, I always dreamed when I was a kid. I come from a family of singers. My parents had beautiful voices, and every time we'd go for our rides or drives, they would sing. They would sing Spanish songs. It would be beautiful, and I was blessed with having a voice. And anyway.
No. So you know, about 1999, I needed a singer, and you know, this is probably the third or fourth time I asked her. This is the first time she said, "Okay, I'll give it a try."
So as a kid, I always dreamed about being a backup singer. Right. You know, and because I was pretty shy, and I'm actually pretty shy anyway. But so I decided to accept the challenge, and I thought, if I don't do this, I don't want to regret that I didn't try. And he's created a monster, you know. So
I love it.
So it's been wonderful. It's been a great thing for us, you know. It's, you know, our lives are really blessed, and we have a lovely family, and we love our lives and home, and so it's just come naturally, you know. And Eric, he's got many talents in the music, and he's a good inspiration.
And another thing about Alicia, just real quick, is I think that she sings the way that I play. Neither one of us are shredders. We're both pretty understated in our approach, and so I think that works really well together. And just the tone of Alicia's voice is really it really works for what I've done when we were doing vintage blues covers, and I think it really works with these original songs that we've been writing. Maybe because it's nothing to compare to, but I feel that when she sings these original songs, it even brings the richness in her voice out more. And especially on this current album, Got to Believe, we recorded it at a $1 million studio in San Diego called Rarify. The engineer's name is Roy Silverstein, and the owner. And that has been, I think his work and the sound of this album is about 50% of why I'm more excited about it than anything else we've done. It's just been amazing working there. You know, when we play live, Alicia sings through $150 Shure mic. On this record, she's singing through a $30,000 mic. But you know, but there's no, it's still her voice. She's singing. There's no auto tuning or any of that.
My goal to being a singer it's a constant challenge. I really would love to master telling the story.
You do,
You know,
sister.
and when I sing, I want to tell the story so you can hear it, and it's really coming from the heart.
Well, and I have to tell you, when I was listening to the album today, that's what I picked up.
That's
I
so
hear
cool.
the story, and I don't like going to see performers when I can't understand the story, where there's too much, like I call it, noise in the background that the story drowns, but it
Mhm.
doesn't on this album. And to me,
Great.
that's what music is all about. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
you can listen to it today and get one feel from it, but tomorrow your mood may be different. And when you listen to it, you get a whole different feel to it. And I just can't wait to get it out there so that our listeners can hear it. And now they can put the faces together of how this was produced, because to me, that's really important. Sometimes we just hear the music, have no idea who the individuals are who brought it all together.
Oh, lovely. I
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
really nice,
Yeah.
Karen. And you know, a couple of other people that have been involved in this project with us, who are, I mean, other than the people that are part of our band, have also commented that the thing about Alicia's voice, that she has a very honest way of singing, and to me that beats pyrotechnics and, like, you know, crazy technique any day, especially for the music that we play and that I'm writing. But,
Right.
And
Exactly.
a song affects every individual differently, you know, whatever's happening
Yeah.
in someone's life, or,
Right.
you know, relate to or understand, you know. So hopefully people love it, and we'll get out there and keep pushing.
But yeah, and we also just got. In fact, we just received it ourselves late Sunday night from the videographer that made it. But we got a great video, music video for the first song, "A World Without Soul," the first song on there. I'm ecstatic about this video, and again, I don't take any credit for that. It's because
Did we send it to you?
no, she
Oh.
doesn't have.
I haven't, no, I haven't seen that yet.
It's got a few little more tweaks to go, but it's about 99% finished. I could send it to you. It'll be released on YouTube by Leighton on September 9th, but I'll send you a link for it.
Okay. Well, again, tell everybody what we're looking for on September 9th.
Yeah, September 9th, you're looking for the new Blue Largo album called Got to Believe.
I love it.
And hopefully it's going to be music to make you feel good and to inspire.
I'm sure it will. And I hope we can get you here to Cleveland, Ohio to see the Rock Hall and perform and bring inspiration to all of us.
Hey, if you ever need us there, we'll be there.
We'll be there.
I'm just waiting for somebody to need us any place.
Hey, we'll just get the word out. How do you like that?
I love it.
that.
Karen, this has been a great interview. We've done some podcasts for our previous albums, and this one, for me, and I think from Alicia, this ranks really high, man. You've been great.
Thank
Well,
you.
You've been great.
I appreciate having the time to do this, and keep me informed, because I know there's going to be other great music coming out.
Well, I hope so,
Okay.
but right now we're riding this way, but I'm going to send you the link for the video as it is before it's officially out.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
All the
You
best
too.
to you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.